Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing the interview with Chris Hansen and Jeffree Star. Now I am going to put out a trigger warning that this video does contain sensitive information and sensitive topics, so if you're here about the Dahavie Vanity situation, I'm assuming you already know what all that is about. If you are unaware of what's going on, definitely make sure you search him on YouTube and watch some other videos about the situation, otherwise you are not going to understand what's going on. So yesterday Jeffree Star went on Chris Hansen's YouTube channel to talk about the whole Dahavie Vanity situation, to address rumors, lies, and speculations that people are making about him. Now originally I was going to put my video out yesterday, but I wanted to take a day to think about everything and process everything, and I'm glad that I did. When I woke up today, I saw this tweet thread that really put basically everything that I'm feeling about the whole situation between Chris Hansen and Jeffree Star into perspective. This tweet thread is from another YouTube creator that goes by the name of Mind of a Miracle. Definitely make sure you guys go and check out her channel. She does awesome videos, but this is what she had to say. She tweeted, "See, I understand you being mad at Jeffree, but are you questioning old band members who won't speak? The dozens of eyewitnesses? Concert goers? Even the victims are questioning this turn of outrage. Don't let your hatred for Jeffree Star make you forget about Dahavie Vanity. The purpose of these interviews have derailed and somehow become the quote-unquote Jeffree Star trials, instead of getting justice for the victims and Dahvie arrested. Keep your quote-unquote I hate Jeffree crusade in check. If you want to cancel him, separate it from this situation. Jeffree clearly lied about things, he probably told the truth about others, but let's cut the out of bringing up irrelevant information about him and have nothing to do with the victims. At Chris Hansen, I believe you dropped the ball, but you made a move on your channel and secured a bag. Congrats. For the sake of those whose lives are ruined by Dahavie Vanity, please bring the focus back to him. Quote-unquote, Jeffree stole the show, and meanwhile, Dahavie Vanity is still selling his merch on Instagram. Congrats, internet. You played yourself." And here I completely agree with what Mind of a Miracle is saying. When all of this first started coming out about Dahavie Vanity, the entire attention and focus was on Dahavie Vanity. Now that everybody is associating Dahavie Vanity and Jeffree Star together, everything about Dahavie Vanity has completely disappeared from my timeline, and now it's just people that are constantly attacking Jeffree Star, bringing up past tweets, bringing up past videos, all that stuff, and all of the focus has been taken off of Dahavie Vanity and put onto Jeffree Star. Like, the whole point of this entire thing was to get Dahavie Vanity arrested and put in jail, and everybody who seemed that they were for that are now turning around and attacking Jeffree and trying to cancel him. Instead of trying to cancel Jeffree with his association with Dahavie Vanity, put your focus and attention back on Dahavie Vanity and get him arrested for what he has done. If you want to attack Jeffree Star after that for other things, then fine, go ahead and do that. But at this moment, everybody who is reporting on this situation should be focusing on the one main goal here, and that is getting justice for these victims and putting Dahavie Vanity behind bars. Okay, so now let's talk about this interview that he did with Chris Hansen. Before he did the interview, Jeffree Star took to his Snapchat to say the following.
Okay, happy Sunday, everybody. I'm getting ready right now because today I am being interviewed by the legendary American TV journalist, Chris Hansen. We are diving into a very serious subject today. It is going to be on his YouTube channel. He's trying to put away someone in prison, and I'm going to answer all of his questions, and hopefully I can help and give some clarity to a lot of really insane rumors and misinformation on the internet. I know a lot of people love to copy and paste my old past to try to use it against me. Girl, not today. This topic is very serious. So I will be live on Chris Hansen's YouTube channel at 1 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. East Coast time. Okay, so I woke up today and once again, I think this is like every 6 months, people have dragged up and pulled out old videos from my MySpace days. We're talking 10, 12 years ago. I know quarantine has a lot of you really bored, but stop trying to use my past against me. Today, 2020, this is the I am. This is the person I'm proud to be. Me 10 years ago, we've been over this so many times, so every time I'm not going to readdress things every 6 months when a little group of people can't get over something or like move on. That Jeffree Star is not Jeffree from 10 years ago. I don't know how many times I have to hammer offensive, crass, crazy. Like, trust me, I know, I lived it. And if you're seeing tiny pieces of clips of things that you were not there for, don't assume anything, because you weren't there. You didn't know what happened. So look, I'm just gonna say that once. You guys know I will always be sorry and forever apologize for all the stupid, offensive, dumb shit I've said, but dragging up old videos and trying to paint a narrative, girl, go spend some quarantine time doing something else for you, girl. that into some people's heads. But girl, I'm like, keep pulling the old videos. Yes, that was me. Girl, those lived on MySpace. They had millions of views. I took them down later because guess what? Bad makeup things to make it seem a certain way. It's happened to me my whole career. But girl, I'm not doing it. I am in such a good headspace. And the old Jeffree is never coming back. So keep rewatching the old her. Because all that energy on me is wasteful. God bless you. Now I understand that I signed up for this shit. I get it. I've lived my life online for a very long time. And none of those videos will ever go away. But I get that the lie is a lot more entertaining than the truth sometimes. And people will make... Because I'm never coming back. So meaty.
So here, even Jeffree Star is like, look, why are you pulling up stuff about me in my past? First of all, that stuff was like 10 years ago, and I've apologized for most of it. I'm not the same person. But all this stuff from his past has absolutely nothing to do with the Dahavie Vanity situation, except obviously the tweets about Dahavie Vanity. Like, that video of that guy throwing up in the toilet has nothing to do with Dahavie Vanity. Was it a gross video and probably shouldn't have ever been made? Yes, absolutely. But again, has nothing to do with Dahavie Vanity. So these people are literally just trying to do anything that they can to cancel Jeffree Star instead of focusing the main attention on Dahavie Vanity where it should be. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the interview with Chris Hansen. Now, when I heard that Jeffree Star was going to sit down on Chris Hansen's YouTube channel and discuss everything, I had high hopes for it. Well, turns out that my hopes were going to be crushed because the interview was basically pointless. Here are the parts of the interview that I found to be the most relevant, or the parts that I wanted to make some comments on.
Everybody has an opinion about you, this case, me, and this interview. And I've had suggestions and people tell me how to conduct this interview. And my philosophy on conducting interviews is to be a good listener. So that is exactly what I'm going to do with you today.
Okay, Chris, I'm sorry, but to sit there and say I'm going to be a good listener for this interview, to me, I don't think that that's how an interview like this should work. When you're going to be talking to Jeffree Star, somebody who has had direct contact with this person, this interview needs to be chocked full of questions that you need answers to, not just to sit there and listen to Jeffree's story. Instead, he ended up letting Jeffree pretty much run the entire interview. There were plenty of things that people wanted to be asked, like, okay, we need clarifications on these tweets when you said that you saw things happen and they were 100% illegal. But we never got any kind of that clarification because you never brought up those tweets. You literally just let Jeffree run the entire interview and talk about which tweets that he wanted to, and not all of them or the ones that people wanted addressed.
It wasn't shocking because Dahvie's always been horrible. And we'll dive into all of that. I want to answer everyone's questions today, but I was happy that people are finally getting a voice, because back in the day, I don't think that a lot of people took things like this serious. The subject matter that we're going to discuss today and everything that he's been accused of, people back in the day did not take it as serious as they do now, which is so horrible. So I'm glad that things are really coming to light. And at the end of the day, the goal is for him to be sitting in a prison cell. So I'm ready to dive in. You know what I mean?
And I can agree with Jeffree here that back in the day, allegations and stuff like this were not taken as seriously as they are today, now that we have the Me Too movement. But back then, Jeffree did have a huge platform and he could have pushed this further if he really wanted to. Instead, he chose not to.
Well, take me back to those days in, the mid to late 2005, 2010, 2012. What was that music scene like, and how did you get into it? And who was Jeffree Star back in those days?
I'm sorry, but the music scene back in those days and who Jeffree Star was back in those days has absolutely nothing to do with the Dahavie Vanity situation. Why are we focusing on Jeffree Star's past music career and not just getting right to the point?
Ultimately, you shared a stage with Dahavie Vanity and Blood on the Dance Floor. What was that like?
So here's the thing. I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there. Blood on the Dance Floor and Jeffree Star, the musician, did a lot of tours separately. We only ever toured twice together. But sharing a stage and being on tour, it was different times, and a lot of the people that opened for us, opening bands, we were all very similar in that we had offensive lyrics. It was very sexual. It was very about partying and just being crazy. So it just kind of fit. But when we were, and what do you mean like by on stage? Because should we talk about the infamous clip that is going around everywhere?
Yeah, let's get to that because that seems to be, what is on a lot of people's minds. And we talked earlier about everybody having their own opinion on this and everybody wanting to hold you to a certain level of responsibility for what Dahavie Vanity allegedly did. So there's a clip. You're on stage with him. He grabs a girl who's identified as being 13 years old and
Okay.
for sure underage, and he makes a sexual move. I guess you could say humping or grabbing her that way.
So
and people want to say because you were on stage when Dahavie Vanity did this, that somehow you should have reported that and gone to the police and said Dahavie Vanity is a predator targeting underage girls.
Right. So here's the thing. In those days, and maybe in still today's times, in the rock and roll world and the music world, people brought kids, adults, anyone in the crowd on stage to dance and have a good time. Now, him grinding on people, when you look at that now in context and they're underage, yes, it's completely disgusting. But everyone at every single show, whether it was a Blood on the Dance Floor show, my show, any rock show, you grabbed people on stage, you danced, and you threw them back in the crowd or they jumped back in, and that was that. So me being on stage and us singing the song that we did back in the day together, yes, we would always grab people up and do that. But for some reason, I'm responsible for his actions. Absolutely not.
And here I will agree with Jeffree on pretty much everything that he said. Yes, they'll pull people up on stage and dance with them, and if that person is a minor like this person in the video was, it was absolutely disgusting, 100%. But I also don't believe that it is Jeffree's fault that Dahvie did this. Dahvie made his own choices. I don't know who pulled the person up on stage, but Dahvie was the one who decided to get behind this person and do what he did. Jeffree is not responsible for the actions that somebody else does. Let's be honest. That'd be saying like you're responsible for the actions of anybody else in your family or any of your friends.
When you look back to that rock star lifestyle, do you remember things that Dahavie Vanity did that would horrify you today?
Oh, 100%. The things that I've seen were very offensive. And looking back, it was the way that he was such a master manipulator at making things seem not as crazy as they were. So yeah, I've witnessed him be very appropriate with people that were underage. Have I witnessed an actual crime? No. Chris, absolutely not.
So right here would have been a great point for Chris to bring up Jeffree Star's tweets, like this one right here, where it says that he saw Dahvie do illegal things with minors 100%. Okay, if you never saw anything happen, then we need an explanation. You tweeted this out, so was this a lie to get attention and you believed that he was doing it, or was this something that you actually saw? That's the biggest issue that a lot of people are having with this tweet, is because there is absolutely no clarification from Jeffree Star at all about what he meant with this tweet.
This is what's crazy, Chris, is that mothers would bring their daughters on the tour bus. So I never saw minors alone with them, never. But there would be moms who would bring their kids, whether they were underage or not, on his bus. And let's say I popped in to say hi to Jay, because me and Dahvie were never best friends. I want to be very clear about that. Me and Jay were very close. And their violin player, Brandy, who was on tour with them for years and years. Jay and Brandy were my friends. So when I would go on the bus for a short amount of time and visit, whether we said hi, we smoked weed, we just talked and catched up, there was always moms with these people. And when there was girls on the bus, obviously I never knew their age, but no one ever looked really, really young. So it was bizarre to me that he would do, and I would love to tell people that something that was kind of disturbing to me is that he would bring mom and daughters on the bus, and sometimes it would be threesomes. Sometimes he would have sex with the mothers. And this is what his band members would tell me when I would leave the bus.
So again, this would have been another great part of the interview for Chris Hansen to bring up this tweet and say, you said that you guys saw him do these things with these minors. So is this something that you actually saw? Was this things that you were told by his fellow bandmates? What was the actual reasoning behind this tweet, and why did you tweet it out? But surprise, surprise, Chris never brought up this tweet in this entire interview, ever.
Do you think Jay, and we're talking about Jay Von Monroe, who has also been on this show and sort of talked
Right.
about himself being a victim of Dahavie Vanity in terms of both being, unpaid for some things, being abused emotionally in some ways. Do you think he knew more than what he has said?
Listen, I wish that Jay would come back on your show or go to police or law enforcement and help put Dahvie in prison, because he 100% has to have seen things that he's not telling people.
And I don't know why Chris is even asking Jeffree Star what he believes that Jay might have seen, because all of this is just 100% speculation. For Jeffree to say that he is 100% sure that Jay has seen things that he has not talked about, it's not fact. That is Jeffree's opinion. So I don't even know why he would even say that, because none of that can be proven. If Jay does know more, then hopefully he does come forward with more information. But at this point, you can't say that you know for a fact that 100% he has seen things that he is not talking about.
When talking to a lot of people from the past, some of them literally have seen nothing and are like, yeah, he's great. And other people have really horrific stories. So that 100% makes sense. It's like, if he needed to use you for something, then he's only going to show you his best version, which he did to me a lot of the times. He wanted to use me. He wanted to get bigger from doing a song together, going on tour, trying to use my name. So I could definitely see that 100% happening. But Chris, when you meet people and they always just have like a weird vibe, that's what I always got from him. And whether it's creepy or weird, people might take that out of context, but he always just seemed a little off.
Now, I will agree with Jeffree on this, that is a huge thing that a lot of these people do. They will keep themselves very guarded and their secrets very close and only show people certain sides of them based on what they believe that they can. If they only want to use you for some kind of gain, they're going to show you their best side possible. And if they want to drag you into their deep, dark, twisted world, then they're going to let you into that part as well.
Back in the day, there was a lot of crazy rumors about Dahvie. There was never any criminal charges against him. He was never put in jail for, I know there was one instance, but he never served real jail time. There was no criminal case against him. So there was a moment when a lot of us in the music world were not sure what was really going on. So it was being in that moment of not knowing, really believing it all because it was very believable. But then at the end of the day, there was no proof. So yes, I tweeted out a lot of things. Did I ever see an actual sexual crime? Absolutely not. Did I see weird, inappropriate behavior? Yes. Did I call him a child molester? Yes, because at the time I really believed it. I thought that what people were saying and the weird things that were behind the scenes going on, that they were all true. And later, did I think that some of it was untrue? Yes. And we're going to dive into that, and I'd love to explain why. But I meant those tweets at the time, and it was a time where there was a lot of us all on the same page and hyping it all up and saying, hey, this person is really this. So at that moment when I tweeted all those things, yes, I fully believed it.
Now here is where you just have to stop and trust your gut. If you believe that somebody like this is doing something inappropriate, then you need to make sure that you stop and back away from this person, because they're very good at manipulating the people around them. There's a literal arrest record for him having inappropriate behaviors with an underage person, and yet he managed to spin this narrative that no, it was not true, that she was just trying to use me for something else, and made up those lies against me. If you have a gut feeling about somebody, usually your gut is telling you to be careful and be wary, and so if that happens, then you need to make sure you're listening to it.
And what did you believe at the time? And what was the reason for sending those tweets out, Jeffree?
Well, I felt that he was getting a platform that was bigger than I ever thought he would reach, right? And I didn't want my audience to think that if they were true, which he, being the master manipulator that he was, proved to a lot of people at that time that he didn't do anything, that he really wasn't going to jail, because he never went back to jail after that one incident. So he really tricked us all into thinking, hey, I'm actually not that person, which was really scary. And one of the biggest regrets of being dumb enough to believe someone and to getting manipulated into thinking that he's, an okay person.
And again, here's a perfect opportunity for Chris to press him harder about these tweets and why he sent them out. But he literally let him get by with the excuse of saying, oh, well, I didn't want my fans to be around him if these were true. So yes, that's a good reason because you wanted to protect your fans, but why didn't Chris ask him any harder questions like, were you not afraid that after you sent these out that he was going to turn around and sue you for slander? Like, why were questions not asked more about these tweets? I don't understand it at all. This is the main tweet that everybody has been focusing on, and Chris never even brings it up once.
What responsibility did you have as a performer who was affiliated with him to report anything, and what could you have reported at the time?
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is that I don't have anything to report. If I actually saw and witnessed something, he would be rotting in jail this very moment. But I never saw anything besides inappropriate behavior, but I never witnessed anything that could be used as evidence. And I think somehow people think I do, and I'm not saying it. So for the record, no one has any contracts against me. No one has any secrets against me. Dahvie knows nothing about me. And yeah, it hurts that people would even think that, but I get it. I tweeted out a lot of stuff and then I worked with him again.
Okay, Jeffree, you literally just said you never saw anything but inappropriate behavior. Inappropriate behavior is something that you can go and report, so that way they have a file already started on this person. If you would have went to the cops and say, hey, look, I saw this guy do this thing that I thought was inappropriate with an underage girl. Now, I don't believe that it's technically illegal, but you guys should definitely be keeping an eye on him and maybe open an investigation. Then maybe all of this could have happened years ago instead of waiting until now for it all to come out. The fact that you say that you saw inappropriate behavior but didn't report it kind of doesn't look good at all, not gonna lie.
Everyone wants me to address every single tweet. Let's go. Me calling Dahvie my brother, that's just me being dramatic. Dahvie was never my brother. We were never best friends. You can think that 100% not the case, but let's talk about me tweeting that he's a monster and then working with him again. So when I was doing my last tours, there was a big list, right? Who was gonna play the opening bands before me, who was gonna play after me, and their name was on the list from their agent. And they were very big at the time. And the allegations, he made them all kind of go away. He manipulated the music scene and he was getting big tours. So I did my own research and I reached out to Jay. Of course, Jay. Never seen anything, Jeffree. Dahvie's great. Okay, but that wasn't good enough for me. So I reached out to Brandy. Now, Brandy Wynn was a band member of Blood on the Dance Floor for years and years. She's a mother of 4. I said, Brandy, have you ever seen anything illegal for real? Because our agents are trying to put this tour together with them on it, and I'm not gonna do it. And I would never put him in any light ever again if you have seen something. Because if that's the case, I would rather die than work with him. And she, as a mother, said, Jeffree, I've seen inappropriate things, but nothing illegal. I took her word for it. Well, and maybe he never did anything around her. I don't know. But she lived with this person on the tour bus. She's older. She's 40 years old. And I took her word. And I booked them on that last tour.
And again, we have Jeffree here bringing up the tweets and says everybody wants to discuss them tweet by tweet, so let's go. And he discusses all of the tweets except for the one tweet that everybody is talking about, and that's the fact that he said that he saw Dahvie doing illegal things 100% with underage people. Again, why is Chris not saying, hey, we need to talk about this one tweet that we have not addressed yet? But that was basically the first half of the interview, and the second half of the interview was basically, from what I can tell, Chris Hansen sucking up to Jeffree Star and saying, okay, well, what should we do for these victims? How do we help these victims? Pretty sure helping them get justice is the first step. And you know what? Maybe set up a GoFundMe, maybe donate some of that super chat money that you got. There's a lot of different things that you can do for these victims, but there was no reason to bring Jeffree Star into this conversation and have that on the live while you're trying to interview him. This whole interview should have been about getting justice for the victims, and that's it. Nothing about Jeffree Star's past as his music career is concerned, and nothing about where he is now with his makeup company. And it's not really up to him how these victims are helped, but he could definitely help by setting up a GoFundMe. But that is something that you guys could have discussed after the interview was over. There was no reason for it to be in this interview unless you were just trying to use it for filler for time. But that is everything that I have for today's video, so I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you saw the interview, what did you think about the interview? Did you think that Chris Hansen did a good job, or do you think that he basically let Jeffree Star walk all over him and run the interview himself? Let me know what you think about everything down in the comments below. I will also be tuning into Keemstar's podcast, which Jeffree Star is going to be on Wednesday, to see if he talks about this anymore, so definitely stay tuned, because if he does, I will be making a follow-up video for that. If you like this video, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you're new to my channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could hit the big red subscribe button and hit the bell icon and set your notifications to all so you'll be notified of every time that I upload a new video. Alright, that's everything for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!